All right, welcome back. So we looked at significant figures and the rules. Let's look at operations with Sig Figs now. So we'll look at Sig Fig operations. And there's two rules here that we need to look at. One involves what you do when you're adding and subtracting numbers, and one deals with what do you do when you're multiplying and dividing. So with this one, we'll look at adding and subtracting first of all. All right, so adding and subtracting. So what you can think of doing is arranging the numbers in the usual way with decimal points aligned. Mark the uncertain digit in each of the measurements. And then lastly, find the one that lies farthest to the left. And that position is going to indicate where the uncertain digit in the answer is. So for example, if I'm adding these numbers, now I think this should be centimeters here, so we'll make that change. So 38.498, 105.2, 4.8892. So if we mark the uncertain digit, or mark the sig figs, we have that, with that one being uncertain, okay? So with that one, we go through it, that is 5 sig figs. And of course, we know that very last one is the guess digit. The next one, 105.2, so we know that's significant, that's significant, that's significant. That is the guess number. And this last one, boom, 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 guess digit there. So if we were just to add them all up, we would get what I like to refer to as the mathematical answer. Okay, to get the scientific answer, we would have to figure out how do we round this off. Okay, so you can kind of think of it, what the one that lies furthest to the left. So if you take a look here, and I know my ruler is see-through, so it doesn't really help, but here we have check marks, we're good. Check marks, we know those numbers for sure. Check, 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 we know those numbers for sure. Check, question mark, check. Since we've reached our first guess number, we have to stop there, and that is in the one decimal point, the tenths place. So what that tells us is that if we reach our first guess number here from going left to right, in our answer, we can't go any further than that as well. But we do have to take a look at the next digit to see if we round up or leave it as is. If it's 5 or more, we round up. Since this is an 8, yes, we'd bump it up to a 6. So 148.6. So yes, you can arrange them in a column form with the decimal points aligned. Or if you just simply look at the numbers, you can tell which one lies furthest to the left. If you had them written like this, we know that this goes to the tens, hundred, thousands place, tenths place, 10,000s place. So you know that that one stops on the leftmost end of things. So we go all the way here. We only go one decimal place here. So our answer needs to follow suit with the one number in the question that stops furthest to the left. So that's the rule for adding and subtracting. Now let's look at multiplying and dividing. It's an easier rule. So when multiplying or dividing, begin by counting the number of sig figs in each of the numbers in the question. Then the answer to the calculation has no more sig figs than the factor with the least number in the question. So if I'm looking at here, 32.4 centimeters, I know that there's 1, 2, 3 sig figs. And 845.21, I know there's 5 sig figs. So again, I get a mathematical answer. Mathematical answer. And to get this scientific answer, I have to look at how many sig figs do I have in my answer. So 3 sig figs, 5 sig figs, guess what? 3 sig figs wins because it has the least number of sig figs. So I'm going to keep 3. 1, 2, 3, with that last one being the guess number. Look to the next digit, it's an 8, so we need to bump that up by 1. So I'm going to have 274, But again, I need to ensure that this 2 is in the 10,000s place. So to make this in the 10,000s place, I just wouldn't leave it as 274. I would need to add zeros, placeholders to ensure that that 2 is in the 10,000s place. And of course, we know it's okay to do that because anything that ends in 0 and that 0 is to the left of the decimal doesn't count in terms of being a significant digit. So I am okay with that. All right. So the assignment for this one it looks like this. So part A is just simply telling the number of sig figs you see here. But on the bottom here, this first column, you're going to be using the add subtract rule. So you can either line up the decimals or even just take a look. Let's see, that one goes to the hundreds place. That one goes to the tens, hundreds, thousands place. This one goes to the tens place. So my answer is going to go to the tens place. So what I would like you to do for these ones is write down the mathematical answer and also write down the rounded off scientific answer. So you may have to do this on a separate piece of paper because you'll likely run out of room here. If I look at number 12, people usually ask about number 12 here from what I remember. So if I just do 50 times 325, I get 16,250. Whereas people like to say 16,250. So that's the math answer. Now, if I look at the original question, we can see here, remember with multiply and divide, you look at the number of sig figs in the numbers. So here I have 3 sig figs. Here I have, oh, it ends in 0. The 0 is to the left, so that 0 doesn't count. There's only 1 sig fig. So there's 1 sig fig, which means my answer can only have 1 sig fig as well. If I take a look at the next digit is a 6, so that's going to get bumped up to 2, but I have to ensure that's in the 10,000s place, which means I need to have a 0 placeholder for the 6, 0 placeholder for here, and here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is going to be my scientific answer. All right, so run through those. Again, we have adding and subtracting, write the math answer, round off to the scientific answer, and then multiplying and divide. I think there's a few things missing here. This should be centimeters. This should be grams. This should be kilograms. And what else here? Let's just make these grams and grams. And I think we're okay here. You can see that the units are going to cancel here. Centimeters divided by centimeters, they cancel. Whereas here, centimeters times centimeters, we get centimeters squared. And remember that decimal there means that that 0 actually counts. So there's 2 sig figs in that one there. All right, so go ahead with that. Look at your answers, and then we'll see you again.